Carlo Ratti, I'm head of MIT's Senseable City Lab. It's a research lab based both in Boston and Singapore, and also the design office carlorattiassociati that's based in Italy, the UK, and the US. Well, I think the Innovation Forum was very interesting this year, and it's almost a little bit like MIPIM in the world of developers meeting Silicon Valley. And actually had companies like Cisco and other being there, but also we had all the developers who were interested in this new dimension about how technology is changing our cities, but also our buildings and our homes. And so I think that's where most of the opportunities lie. I think there's basically two different components. One is actually how technology is entering the built environment. It's becoming network, miniaturized, and so on. It's becoming what some people call smart dust. And so it's changing the very fabric of our buildings. Our building becomes more responsive, almost like a kind of living architecture. So this is certainly one trend, and it's really booming now because technology is getting so small and miniaturized. However, there's another trend that I think is probably even more important in the long run, and that one is how technology has been changing us. It's still changing us. The way we do things in our lives is radically different than the way we were doing it like 10 or 20 years ago. Everything from working to meeting to mating to anything we do every day. And so because of that, then how we need to create a different type of built environment around ourselves to accommodate this new usage. And so I think that's where a lot of opportunities lie. One example is, for instance, about office space. We used to be chained to a desk. We had an Ethernet cable and we couldn't move. And today, actually, we can be much more mobile. We got Wi-Fi everywhere, we got laptops. And so that is radically changing the way we mediate between public space, private space, and many gradations in the middle, inside the office. Now, let me add another point. What this does actually is quite interesting. Because on the one hand, it actually creates a much more pleasurable environment. We're designing new offices in the city of Guadalajara for a new innovation district called the CCD, Ciudad Creativa Digital. And there, in a place where the climate is very pleasant all year round, then, the challenge is, can we actually do offices outdoors, where people can work in beautiful patios with water, with green spaces and so on? Can we do that? So on the one hand, you actually have a great advantage in terms of the quality of life for the people. But on the other hand, what you can do, because you're more flexible, you can use space more efficiently. And our studies actually show that if you do this well, you can actually provide the same services to a company with a significant reduction of the physical built space. And that's a win-win. It's a win for the developer, but it's also a win for the company that will get a better usage of what they have. Well, I think it's just a matter of proving that things can work. And actually that's what we're doing. You can do it at different levels. We try to push the boundaries and do what we call sometimes an urban demo or a building demo, where you actually show and you say, well, this is feasible. And of course, then you need to check then on the numbers, you need to check how you can interface with clients and so on. But that's really the role that we see for ourselves is to push the boundary and to prove this is feasible. And what we are seeing is actually a lot of developers jumping on this because they can see the opportunity of changing the way of doing things. Look, I think it's going to happen, if nothing else because of survival. What we are doing today is creating what technical you could define as cyber-physical systems. Systems that have a digital and a physical components. This has happened before in other fields. If you take Formula One, like 20 years ago, to win a Formula One race, you need a physical infrastructure, you need a good car and a good driver. Today, you need that, but you also need a digital system made of thousands of sensors onto the car, sending information in real time to computers where it's analyzed, it's processed. And unless you have that, you will not win the race. So I think developers are understanding very well if they want to win the race tomorrow, not today, they actually need to jump on this. And in the same way as it happens in other industries, this really is a big disruptive process. So when you go from just a physical system to a cyber-physical one, then many things have to change. We knew how to make buildings and cities made of concrete, steel, glass, bricks, but we still don't know exactly how to make them when they're made of concrete and silicon. And that's really what we're all exploring. In a certain sense, as I was saying before, the two components. One is how technology is changing us, and then we need a new kind of environment around ourselves. But the other thing is really how the buildings themselves are changing, are becoming more intelligent, are being embedded with sensors, with networks and so on, and so they start behaving in a different way. And I think that's a very big change, it's a very big challenge. It can make our buildings much more sustainable, much more responsive to us, but also requires developing new interfaces, new hardware, new software, and that is what is happening today. I thought it was great because it really brought together two worlds that are converging but didn't have a space yet. And so this is providing a space for that, and I've seen a lot of excitement, both on the technology side and on the MIPIM side. You know, like 10 years ago, the world of Silicon Valley and the world of MIPIM could not have been further apart. And now actually they're meeting and doing business together. I think so because, you know, a lot of things have been happening just in the past few months and years, but really very, very recently. If you think about something like this providing like almost a small revolution in the United States, like the Nest thermostat, just a thermostat that allows you to control your home remotely, or many other similar devices. You know, those things really are the things that the customers in the end buy, and so those things are the things that, you know, real estate developers need to be aware of. So there's a clear point of contact between these two worlds. I think they should, even, you know, if what I see is that usually they are very curious and creative, probably at this point is most the other side. It has to be curious about what is happening in Silicon Valley.